Blender is a must-have device as far as the kitchen is concerned. However, you know, there are different occasions where a blender will be best suited for some kind of activity, and there are situations where a juicer will be best suited for some kind of activities. Yeah. So today you're going to see how best or where best to use the blender and where best to use the juicer. With me here is a silver crest blender. I have used this blender for like 1 year, close to 2 years now, and it's still operating at optimum level. So today I'm just going to blend tiger nut and coconut here, and then I'm going to make some juices here. So we have pineapples already cut. We are going to cut open the watermelon. What else is going to be in this juice? We have two big apples here, and then we're going to include orange in the juice. So those are basically the things we're going to use for this juice. Yeah. So just sit tight and see how the juicer should be used and how the blender should best be used. Okay. So first of all, we are going to set up the juicer. If you don't know how this juicer can be set up, this is a great time for you to learn how to do this. Now look at this. You're going to keep this open so that it's going to ease the outflux of the pulp. However, if you don't want your juice to be very smooth, this is when you're going to do this. But if you want it to come out very smooth, no pulp inside, then you have to close this yellow stuff here. You're going to close it so that some of the pulps won't get in. But for me, I'm going to keep it open anyway. I like my juice to come in with some pulp to give you that five alive kind of feel. So you're going to use your discretion to actually set this up. There are three holes here, so you're going to use your discretion to know which hole is going to go for which one. So you just face the smaller one in here and press it in. That's settled. Without you setting up this slow juicer, it's not going to work. So if you don't fit it well, the slow juicer will not on. Right now I'm on it, it's not on, but once it's properly set up, you'll see that it's going to on. So the next thing is to put in the filter, and you will see an arrow pointing here, which means you should face this arrow down to that side as well. So that is what you're going to do. And that one is well fitted. So the miller goes in now. The miller is in, and then the funnel goes in last. Okay. So the juicer is set up. Now it's on because it's well fitted. So now let us cut open our watermelon and our apple. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to make it into smaller pieces so that it can fit in well into the slow juicer. You don't have to fit very big chunks into it so that it can handle it appropriately well. Yeah. So that's why we're going to just make it into smaller pieces. So right now we have to cut the apple into small chunks, small pieces, so they could be fed to the slow juicer funnel, which will help it to juice properly without much stress. We're going to do the same to the watermelon. We're going to cut it into small chunks, just like we did to the pineapple. Everything should be fed slowly to the slow juicer so that the slow juicer isn't going to stress while doing its job. And you're going to see how efficient this slow juicer is going to be. Did you know that if you're using the slow juicer to, extract your juice, the concentration of the juice is going to be 100% very, pure. But if you use a blender to, make your juice, you're going to have the juice, no doubt, but then you're going to have some. It's just like having a diluted juice because you're going to have to put water inside, so concentration is going to be lesser. So now which one should we do first? So let's start our juicing process. Yeah. So we're going to start feeding the juicer slowly, and we're going to see the amount of juice this juicer is going to bring. Even you want to use this juicer to do business, like if you're into juice business, this is a great juicer for you to acquire. Very efficient. You're going to see the amount of juice you're going to bring out from this juicer, and people are going to love your juice because it's going to be really concentrated. It's not watered down. So if your clients are people who love quality, you can get this slow juicer. And if you want this slow juicer, you can reach us in the comment section, then we can get one for you. This slow juicer is, I think, 3 years now, and it's still performing optimally. So if you want a slow juicer that is going to work very well for you without stress, then you should contact us to get one yourself. Okay, and let's just see how the juice is going to come out. We're going to test how efficient it is by squeezing the pulp after juicing to see if we're going to still find remnant of juice in there. You'll be surprised at how efficient this juice can be. Look at the amount of juice coming out. Wow, this is so interesting. It's lovely. I mean, it's mesmerizing. It's something you're gonna love. Yeah. So just keep watching, and we'll get to the blender part where we'll see how we're going to use the blender efficiently as well, and what not to do when you're using the blender, because that is the reason why most of you are complaining your blender is smoking and all that. So you're going to see what I'm going to do wrong with the blender and what I am going to do right with the blender still in this content. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere, you're going to learn, don't play. All right, so we're still in the juicing process. Slowly feed everything. Don't just jam pack everything into the juicer so that it will not clog or jam. Okay, so just slowly put in, allow it to do its job. Yours is just for you to, get your juice, pour it into your container, and if you have visitors, all you need to do is sit down, relax, and chill, enjoy. So the juicer is still doing its job. Now, look at all this pop. Let's do some test. With all my power! See, the pulp is very dry. No water came out because the juicer made the pulp be very dry. So you can see how interesting this can be. If you were using a blender, the blender won't be able to squeeze it. Now look at, no water came out. No water came out. See. Slow juicer is a banger. Is a. Now, I think I need to turn this in. So now it's time for us to, make our tiger nut juice. So I'm gonna put in the liquid first. I'll toss in the coconut, and then I'll pour in the tiger nut. The ginger is inside there as well. If your blender never chop well, don't try it. Don't play. If you try with your blender is gonna smoke, and that'll be the end of it. Well, I could do this because I'm using the customized blender, yeah? Oh, we're not yet on. Okay. Okay. So now, so the first thing you're supposed to do first is to pause, pause, So you can see, if your blender never chop, no try am o. Now I understand from that reaction that there is not enough liquid down there, so I'm just gonna add a little more liquid. Like I said, if you don't know the kind of blender you're using, don't try this. This is above the loading capacity, yeah, but I can do it because I know what I'm using. If you try this with your own blender, you might just have to come back and ask for another blender to buy, yeah? Nice silver crest
Now, even though I'm
blender,
using a very
and it
powerful
affords me
model
the
here,
luxury of
but the blender is still gonna stress because I am first of all loading above the loading capacity. If you read the user manual, it's gonna tell you that the loading capacity should not pass 500 ml for the solid items, and then you're going to put little water according to the manual so that it can help it to blend. This is a blender, not a crusher or how do you call it, a grinder. So its basic job is to blend, that is mix liquid and solid together, but because it's multifunctional you can do these things you're seeing. So its first job is to be a blender before any other thing. But then if you do this load be above the capacity,
Rubeni.
rather your blender is going to stress, which is why it's also stressing you. And for some of you, yours is going to smoke and stop working totally. So this is what you should do instead. You're gonna have to follow the user manual, which is the loading capacity is going to be 500 ml for the jar. So that's why I'm going to turn off or put off some of the content and allow it to be at the 500 mark. If you look at your blender jar, the 500 mark is just a little close to the handle of the blender. So that is why you're seeing me do this. And I've added a little water so that I could help it to, blend very easily. And doing this, you're going to see the blender is going to handle the task efficiently. For some of you, the former process I did, if it's even the so-called 8,000 watt, the moment you try that thing you saw me do before, your blender is going to smoke and that's going to be the end of your blender. You just be in the market looking for another one. But mine didn't do that because, first of all, the copper wires will 100% copper. It's original and it could handle the stress. But that doesn't still mean that if I continue to do that way, the blender will not smoke and might spoil eventually. It will if I continue to violate the user manual. Being original doesn't mean you have to, stress it to the point where it cannot do what it's not meant to do. So, of course, you should follow the instruction, even though it's original, and your blender is going to last you the same amount of years mine have lasted. But first of all, if it were to be the copy or the fake, then you would have jumped into trouble right from the onset. And so you see why it's important that you cough out money to buy a really good blender, because it's going to save you better if you just buy nice the first time than to buy it twice. Now look at the texture of this tiger nut, very smooth, and that's what we're going to use to do the tiger nut juice, which is going to be relished by my friend. So look at, very smooth, like no chunks inside, nothing. A Silvercrest blender can do absolute fine job. Yeah. So I'm just going to blend the remaining portion of that tiger nut, and then everything will be ready